Welcome to Hello Chaos, the show where founders, innovators, and chaotic minds get real and unfiltered about the mess, the magic, and the mayhem of entrepreneurship. I'm JJ, your host and fellow work in progress, and today we're diving headfirst into the chaos with Jane Pilger. She is the founder of Jane Pilger Coaching, calling out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Welcome, Jane. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, same here. So start us out. How did you get into entrepreneurship? What inspired you to start your own company?
Oh, such a good question. So starting out, I was an accountant coming out of school, got an accounting degree, figured it would be great for me, have a lot of different options there. Got my CPA, started working for an accounting firm, ended up in commercial real estate, third generation commercial real estate broker. I actually enjoyed commercial real estate. I
Hmm.
enjoyed the projects. I enjoyed various aspects of it, but it wasn't really, I don't know, it wasn't a rewarding career.
Right.
And in the meantime, I had my own personal journey and my own personal struggle with binge eating that
Ah,
started my very first semester of college.
hmm,
And it was something that I had a lot of shame about, and I hid for a long time. On
hmm,
the outside, I was always somebody who was very successful. I was able to, achieve many things that I set out to achieve, but I had this kind of like deep, dark secret that I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing with
right.
food behind closed doors. And it's a battle that I struggled with for over 25 years
Hmm,
in various forms over time. And I remember thinking, if I ever figure this out, I want to help other people go through to be able to support them and give them the resources and the help and the guidance and the support that I didn't have.
hmm.
And that really, so I was on my journey of my own personal journey of
Your own
healing.
like
And
finding your courage and
yes.
bravery and finding the voice
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and your
And so
why.
as I was
Yeah.
going through that, it was like the commercial real estate really was less and less appealing. And what
Hmm,
was more and more appealing was helping other people and really kind of turning your mess into your message.
yeah.
And it really just became clear that this is what I want to do. I really want to help other people overcome binge eating and understand why they binge and how to stop and understand that you're not broken, even
Right.
though it really feels like you are. And so that really was kind of my journey
That's your.
towards.
So did you have like a aha moment as you were doing your own transformation that as you started to speak out, did people like come to you and say, "How did you do this? How are you going through this?" And that was like your I'm like, "Ooh, these conversations I can be helping others," or was it like further than that? I'm just curious, what was that like initial
Yeah.
aha?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So I was a part of a group, kind of a membership group of other people who had shared struggles with food.
Mm,
And so within that group, I started sharing more of my journey and more of what was happening, what I was going through. And within that group, I started helping other people who had similar struggles. So it was like a safe place
mm,
for me to share and to start talking about, this thing that I really hadn't talked about in public.
right.
Well, no way in public. I mean, I was married before my husband even knew about my struggles with
Wow.
food. Yeah,
Wow. So you were even hiding like in your own house, your
I
four
was.
walls.
I
Okay.
was. Yeah.
What was the did when you started out and launched your business, was there a challenge? What was that moment's like? Because that's a very
Yeah.
niche.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, people say when you kind of start speaking out on
Yes.
topics, you people gravitate. It's like a beacon, a magnet of,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not alone anymore. Did
Yeah.
it is that what happened in your scenario where you're like, hey, I want to do this? Where is where are the people?
Yeah, it was kind of a couple of things. So as a part of this other group, as I was talking to people and I would share more of my story, I got a lot of, wow, that is so helpful. I am so glad to know that I am not alone. And that really helped me think like, okay, I really can. I can help other people. So that was
Right.
very much okay, I can do this. So then what happened was, as I then kind of went out of that safe space of that little group where there's this shared struggle with food,
Yeah.
and I go out and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, uh, I'm going to set up my website and I'm going to, start talking about it with other people. That really what happened was I started binging again. And it
Like the
was
anxiety, the stress,
yeah,
was that the
yes. So
trigger?
it really was. I
Okay.
mean, for sure. Now I did not know at the time. At the time, I was like, what is going on? What is
Right.
wrong with me? Here I am. I felt like such an imposter. I'm trying to
Mm.
help other people. And I was. I was still working with people and I was helping people. But again, I have another secret
Right.
because here I am trying to help you, but I'm struggling myself in secret
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I can even talk about it. Now, what I know now that I didn't know then is it was my nervous system.
Mm.
As I put myself out there to this part of me that I worked so hard to keep hidden, to
Right.
keep a secret that I had so much shame about, there really was a lot of vulnerability
Mm.
in what will other people think. All these people who think that, I have it all together are now going to know the truth that we're all messy. It's just like you
Right.
said in your intro, like we really are all works
We're
in progress and
we
we
all
are
are.
all messy, but we don't, as individuals, we don't necessarily believe that to be true about the other people, especially those people that look like they have it all together.
Right.
And
Right.
so that was kind of the root of it, was really some of that nervous system. But when you talk about, kind of like the oh shit moment, really
Yeah.
was, here I am. I'm here trying to help other people, yet I'm still struggling
You're
myself.
still yeah.
Yeah. Now I can look back and be really appreciative of that time because it
Mm.
led me to think, okay, there's more here. There's more here for me to learn. I
Right.
clearly have some more kind of healing and growth to do. And that led me to really diving deep into understanding the nervous system and what
Mm.
happens with the nervous system and how the nervous system plays such a really big role in everything. I mean, everything that we do, but particularly as it relates to food, to binge
Right.
eating. And
Right.
so that kind of then became everything changed
Mm.
once I really was able to understand that. So it kind of became one of those pieces of really developing that safety, that
Mm.
trust with myself, with my body, with food, that
Right.
really has become the heart of my message.
And then obviously, did you have to, through that, develop tools that were different
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
probably didn't exist
Yeah.
out there of like,
Yeah.
ooh, if this is going to help me,
Exactly.
this is
Yeah.
going to help others.
Yeah.
Were there, as you started transitioning into, okay, I'm leaving this field and and then doing something that is also very personal to your, to your story and kind of putting yourself out there. What was the biggest challenge of, starting your own business in this landscape, in this space?
Yeah. I think it really probably was like shifting that identity. And what's so interesting is I think this is one of the biggest challenges that my clients face too. It's shifting
Yeah.
the identity from a binge eater to someone who trusts themselves around food. It's a big
Right.
shift. So for me, kind of shifting from the commercial real estate, the CPA, the kind of professional woman, and all of those other roles and all of those things that I did in those roles, shifting from that into now kind of this mentor, this guide, this trusted advisor, this coach, this person who can, is really helping people who are struggling specifically with disordered eating and specifically binge eating. Yeah. So
Right.
like that shift in identity was probably the biggest challenge.
What have you learned the most about yourself through your transformative journey?
Mm, the most about myself. I think that everything that I am doing, everything that I'm feeling
Mm.
makes sense.
Oh,
Like
good.
it makes sense. Like I spent so long trying to just thinking I was broken, thinking
Mm.
there was something wrong, thinking it shouldn't be this way, thinking this shouldn't be happening, or I shouldn't be doing this, or things should be different. And that really understanding that actually everything I do makes sense.
Mm.
How my body's responding, how my brain is responding, all of that, it really makes sense. Where I am now makes sense. Like there's
Mm.
nothing wrong here. There's nothing broken. Nothing needs to be
Right.
fixed. It's really
Your
just a
body
matter of
is
like,
telling you everything is sinking. Hey, founders, quick pause in the chaos for something that might just change the way you think about marketing. Quick question. Is your marketing actually working or just making noise? Bright marketing helps founders and CEOs stop guessing and start growing. They're not like most agencies. They don't push cookie cutter campaigns or chase trends. They start with curiosity, the kind that uncovers what's really holding your business back and builds a strategy that actually moves the needle. Because marketing is not a department. It's not an expense. It's a growth engine if you do it right. If your brand feels stuck, scattered, or misaligned, they can fix all that. They are offering a mini brand therapy workshop, a 60-day tune-up. Only 5 slots are available. Send an email to hello@gobrightnow.com to grab one of these spots or to learn how their service packages work to help you get clarity, confidence, and real results. Send that email today and write curious in the subject line. Now back to the chaos. Now, we've talked to other founders who have kind of described as they've kind of gone from, CEO or like high power, and they're like, no, I want to start something and be an innovator, creator, founder. And as they're shifting through their journey, I don't know if you can relate to this, but they're like, when you're making decisions or people around you aren't the energy and the vibe, like they're the wrong people that you need to be around there, you can feel it, like it drain, like physically. And we've had a couple of people that are like, your body will tell you immediately like something is wrong
yes,
in your decision making, whether it's in the relationships, and relationships, partnerships, friendships, um, you know, spousal relation, whatever those are, or like you're doing something that might be against, you're making a decision that affects, like you can feel it.
yes,
It will
yes.
make your body, I guess, scream out.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and what's so powerful really is, I think with this work too, is really getting that connection, more of a connection with my body. So I
Mm,
used to very much kind of operate just from the neck up, very much in my head. We're just going to make logical decisions.
right.
And now that I have this deeper connection with my body, it really is then connecting with the energy. What is this? Is this energy? Is this decision coming from a place of fear? Is
Right.
this coming from a place of creation and possibility, and
Mm,
really doing my best to live as much as possible, to live from a place of possibility? What is possible? What can I create? Who do I want to be in this moment?
mm,
As opposed to, I can't do it. I'm not capable. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Just the energy is so different. And if we can tune into that energy, notice which energy we're
mm.
in, and then go to make those decisions from that place, literally changes everything.
Yeah. Has that been the most rewarding part, or are there other rewards that you have found more special?
Oh gosh, I think the reward for me, the rewards are the compound effect of the
Mm,
work. It's
yeah.
like somebody comes to me because they're really struggling with food, but when we're done, it is not just their relationship with food that's different. It's
Yeah.
everything. It's every aspect of their life. And it's that, and then seeing how that change in that one person, how they show up at work, how they show up with their
Right.
family, then the compound effect, that ripple effect of the work that goes out to other people, I just think that's most amazing part of it.
Are you seeing a common thread of why people are, the anxiety and the binge? Is there a common thread of like the root core of where is that coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. So I really talk about 8 reasons. So there's
Mm,
really 8 reasons why people binge. And even if binge eating doesn't resonate with you, if you struggle with food in any way,
okay.
anytime you eat in a way that's like, that's not really
Right.
what I would prefer. There's generally 8 reasons.
Mm,
So the number one reason, shame and judgment. When we're in shame and judgment about the thing that we're doing, we kind of keep ourselves in the cycle because we're beating ourselves up, and
yeah.
then we just kind of want to get away from ourselves, but we can't, except that some people, when they binge, they do kind of really disconnect. I used to say that it was really just like how I turned the lights off on myself. So that's really number one reason, shame and judgment, when we beat ourselves up for what we've done. Then there's restriction. Literally, not eating enough food will create a cycle of binge eating. Your body will get fed. If you're not going to feed it enough, it will make sure that it gets food in some way. And there's two types of restriction. So there's also mental restriction, which are the things where we say, I can't eat that, don't eat that. A lot of, kind of like mentally restricting things from us. There's also the nervous system, what we were talking about, like dysregulation in our nervous system. Sometimes we are trying to use food to regulate ourselves. There's emotional capacity. So if this was me, I mean, pretty much all of the above were me. But if you didn't learn how to allow, process, experience emotions, what can happen is we can end up using food to try to either cover them up, quell them, that type of thing. So emotional capacity is one of them. One of them is the negative self-talk, the way we talk to ourselves about ourselves. One of them is an attempt to control. We're just trying to control what we eat. We're trying to control the size of our body, what our body looks like.
So like body dysmorphia and all that go into
Yep.
play.
Yep. That's another reason. And one of the reasons is habit, but I like to say that the habit, some people say, oh, well, yeah, it is a habit. So we just need to focus on the habit part. But if you don't look at all of the other reasons, no attempt to see it as a habit will change if we're not also addressing the negative self-talk and the emotional capacity and the nervous system and how we're talking to ourselves and the attempt to control ourselves. If we're not looking at all of those other things, we can't just see it as, oh, this is just a bad habit that I have.
Right.
So it is a component, but not all of it. So those are I think I mentioned all 8, but those really are the reasons. And I like to talk about a binge, an episode with food where you're like, what did I just do? Really it's like a light on the dashboard. It tells us there's something going on under the hood. And so many people, they look at the food and they look at the lights and they're like, okay, I just need to stop eating this or take this out of the house or exactly. But when we do that, really, it's just like we're trying to put duct tape over the dash.
Yeah.
What I say is that we have to get under the hood. We have to see what's going on to cause those lights to come on in the first place. So then we can stop them from coming on at all. And the shame and the judgment is that 50-pound weight that's on the top of the hood. And if we can remove shame and judgment, we can get under the hood to see what else is going on. That's where the real work is.
Yeah. And I think that applies to a lot of things. And like, if you have that anxiety or, they always say like, don't speak to yourself like, your worst enemy. Like we need to be careful, even the words that we use.
Yes.
I say this on other shows, and with other founders, like I stop using failure in my vernacular. I'm like, it's just lessons learned. We either have wins or lessons. Stop using those negative words that you wouldn't even use to your child. But I don't think this is a gender bias, but I know, I think more women have this critical aspect that we don't, when we talk to ourselves, we're not talking with grace a lot of times. Yeah. But you're talking about those 8 things. The manifestation is just the binge eating, but all those root things are causes for people maybe not finding their purpose or struggling with really who they are, how they should show up, being brave or courageous, just living more with freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all those, the lights on the dashboard, but to get to that of why, you got to dig deeper.
Yeah.
I've been there. Like I've had to go through that. And it was, you hit those absolutely lowest moments and you're like, what is the common denominator? It's me. I need to go dig deeper. Which, I don't know if you've read the book, Learn to Be Brave.
No, I haven't.
It's by Bishop Boudet, who was the Episcopalian bishop that spoke at the commencement. But she wrote a book around and the whole psychology that to be courageous, to be brave is not innate. So a lot of people think, oh, you're so polished out there, you're bold, you're fearless. Oh, that's just, we think of those as extroverts out there,
Mm,
and that's just normal, but it is not. We are not born that way. It is small steps, small decisions, that is a learned practice.
yeah.
I mean, I'm an introvert naturally, but I call myself a learned extrovert for some of those reasons. But I thought brave, someone being brave or courageous, they were born with that. And
Mm,
she's like, no, nobody's born with that.
that's amazing.
And we all have to, I can't think, recognize the lights on the dash
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what is happening, and then taking that moment to kind of dig deeper.
Well, and I think with bravery too, there is when we can work with the nervous system around bravery, I think what happens for a lot of people is they say, okay, I'm going to be brave. And the thing that they are asking themselves to do is too far beyond their comfort zone.
Right,
So
right,
it puts them, into the place of shutdown or
right.
collapse or whatever it's going to be
Or, oh my
because
God, I can't be that person. That's not
yes.
me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like we just expand. I talk a lot about expanding your capacity. And
Mm-hmm.
we do this as founders. We do
Yep.
this, I mean, my clients do this in their own work. It's expanding the capacity to do things that you previously haven't been able to do before.
Right.
So it's like if you think about you've expanded your capacity to be a podcaster.
Right. This was my therapy. This was like part of it of I've got to find ways to be present and show up and educate, inform, build connections in a way that was more comfortable for me. Of I hate networking events. I'm one of those people that you would see me holding up the wall in the corner unless I found, the one or two people and then would just really connect. Then I had to learn how to do it because, it's important. You're a founder. You've got to make connections. You've got to go to these events. Sometimes you just have to be present, but I had to find little devices and tools to go, okay, these are going to be, this is my script. These are the three questions I'm going to ask, or have something in the back pocket of, and this is my speech. This is how I introduce myself as my, but we all have to come up with those, but those are all learned. Those are
Right.
all learned practices. This is a learned practice.
Yeah. Yeah. But you did it like in small things
I
at a
didn't.
time. You
Yep.
didn't just go out there and was like, all right, I'm going to do this thing. And,
Right.
something that was
Oh no.
too big for your nervous system. So if we can take these small steps
Yep.
and then create the little sources of safety, like your questions. It's like, oh, okay,
That's my safety.
this is
I got it.
safety.
It's my
I've
little
got my
script.
questions.
Yeah, right,
Yes,
right, right.
exactly.
And it's the same thing of like, I mean, it's so fun. I did take little baby steps. I don't know if you've kind of done that, but people have been, you need to, you know, post more, be out there more. I'm like, okay, I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing these events. Like um, and I gave myself a challenge because I incorporated this like 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm interested if you've kind of done any, what are your devices or what are your routines? But a few years ago, I call it a 641 challenge in life of 6 times a year. So try every other month. Create kind of a mini adventure, whether it's, I've got 4 kids trying to do something with them that we've never done before. And maybe it's just like, we're going to go hike a waterfall or we're going to go horseback riding, or maybe it's a wine trip with a group of girls and ladies that I've never met before, kind of putting myself as in just these little mini adventures. So at the end of the year, I can go, I had 6 mini adventures doing things I've never done before. And then the 4 is adopting one habit once a quarter.
Hmm.
And so then at the end of the year, I have 4 new habits, because if you do that one habit in one quarter, you will have adopted it. It's not like, okay, I've done it now, I'm moving
Yeah.
on. It's, you're done. And then the one is like, what's the one big thing that kind of defines the year
Hmm.
of, so this year I'm writing a book. That's going to be my, my big thing. But last quarter, to go into 2025, I was like, okay, I'm going to post daily on social. I was done maybe more like weekly post, and it took, so that journey after like the first month, it was really just, if you listen, watch my post, it was like a stream of consciousness of like whatever was on my mind. And then it kind of was like, oh, I need to have more of a red thread. I need to have more of a thematic. But it made me go deeper and deeper of like, really what's my voice? How do I want to be seen and present? What do I want people to know about me? And through that discovery, now it's like I see it, but I found that I love it. Like
Mm.
it's a creative outlet that I never thought I would enjoy because I thought posting would be you have to do this as a founder, as a business leader in your company, but I really enjoy it. And I've made some fantastic connections. It's just, yeah, it's been, and now and that led me through because I own a marketing agency, right? Besides Orange Whip and the podcast, I have a marketing agency that I founded over a decade ago. I work with company, branding and all this, but that discovery of myself, I started working with the CEOs and the founders that we work with. I was like, oh, because I made my own personal style guide. Because I'm a nerd. I gotta make sure I craft what's my personal brand story? What's my style? How do I show up? What are my themes that I want to stick to? And now I give it and I do the same thing for founders. So it was like a fascinating journey, but they're baby steps
Baby steps. Yeah.
to do that in safe measures. So like what have you done? What are those routines or what are those safety devices that you
I would say two things. I would say one is being around other entrepreneurs,
hmm,
other founders, other people who are working on their businesses, building their businesses, coming up
yeah,
with ideas, really having plenty of those people to talk with and to
yeah.
brainstorm with and to
It's
support
a
and
different
to get
energy, isn't it?
support. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think that has been really, really helpful because otherwise it can be when you're kind of on your own or with a
right.
small team,
It's
it
pretty
can
lonely.
be kind of isolating. But
Mm,
really, for me, I have very much surrounded myself with many other people who are on a similar journey. So that's been really helpful. And from a safety perspective, I think really two things. I mean, one, my husband is my biggest
your
source of
cheerleader.
safety. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I've learned what I need. I kind of have discovered, particularly, I would say last year, I really discovered, what really is helpful for me is to just talk. And sometimes
Yeah.
if I can just talk it out, I literally will get to the answer myself.
Right. We all
Sometimes
have it in
yeah,
ourselves, right?
yeah. Sometimes he'll ask questions or we'll come up with something and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that actually is really helpful." But a lot of times, and we're at the point now where I tell him, "I really want to talk this out. I would love your input and your questions, and I may or may not do anything you say, but just the conversation that we have is so
Right.
helpful." So I've really learned that trying to keep it all up here and make decisions up here is just that's never going to create
Get it out.
the type of
Brain
results I
dump it
want.
out.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
you have to have that, whether it's your spouse or, your circle of friends that are also having a little bit of accountability with you too. But you got to get it out of your head.
Yeah. The other thing that is super helpful for me is I'm also an athlete. I do
Mm,
triathlon. And when I go on really long bike rides by myself, is just that's kind of my place. Some people have their brilliance in the shower or on their
right.
walks or whatever. For me, it's on the bicycle. So
Yeah.
that's a really good
Releasing.
place to just, yeah, let things come to me.
So you pretty much within your business, you've kind of put yourself out there in this journey. But what's something that you really like about yourself that you wish more people recognized more?
Say that I have a kind of a pattern recognition, an ability to recognize patterns of behavior, patterns of thinking, patterns of either the way things work, the way that people show up. I would say probably pattern recognition. Yeah.
Hmm, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. It's an interesting question.
That is. So, if I gave you a magic wand, what two things would you change about your business today?
Ooh. That's a great question too. I would I would simplify it. It's interesting on the journey. I think it's important to like be really curious. What do other people do? What are
Right.
what might somebody else say? And you get so many ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. Oh, I really like this
Mhm.
thing. Or oh, maybe what if I tried that? Or somebody might even say, oh, you should try this. You would be really good at this.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're doing a lot of different things. And so for me, so I find that for myself is there are a lot of different ideas and I do feel like, oh, there's so many different things I would love to do. And then sometimes I feel like it get spread a little thin.
Yeah.
So I think if I had a magic wand, I would pare it back and really
Mm.
simplify it.
Yeah.
So that would be one. You said two things. The other is, what's the other? I probably would bring in at least one or two people to help. I really, at this point, I'm doing everything myself.
Right.
So I think having
Support.
additional support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what has surprised you the most about starting your own company?
I would say that it's like there's always this is whether you're starting your own company, whether you're just working on a personal challenge or whatever,
Right.
there's always something to improve. There's always
Oh,
something
yeah.
to work on. I think we so often just as humans, we think, "Oh, as soon as I figure this thing out, as soon
Mhm.
as I do this, then the when then game, right?
Right.
When this happens,
When
then everything's going to be great." But of course, when
shit happens,
happens,
man. It like, yeah.
but we get there, we get to that magical when place, but then we move the goalpost, or it's like, oh,
Right.
okay, but now we just have this new thing that has presented ourselves to now work towards. So I think that's been kind of the most surprising is like there just is no finish line
Mhm.
to the journey of having obstacles, having challenges, having new
Right.
things to figure out, the next thing to be working on. I remember somebody telling me a while ago, and it's really taken me a while to really absorb, and I still have to
Mm.
remind myself over and over again. But there isn't better than here, and it's really true. If you think about
Yeah.
all, like, we spend so much time trying to get there, and then we
It's
get there and we're like, oh, but I just need to get there.
right.
And then I just need to get there. But it really isn't any better. So if we can just be here,
The
be in the
presence.
enjoyment of what we have now and the gratitude of everything that we're in now versus thinking it's just going to be so much better then.
Right. Right. No, that's a great reminder.
Yeah.
See, what other piece of advice that you've received from whether it's other founders or business leaders that you really took to heart and you kind of made it a part of your decision making in your business?
I would say this is probably more advice that I'm really leaning into recently. So I probably didn't initially lean into it. I think I leaned into it inherently.
Hmm.
Then I went into kind of trying to follow other people's advice and
Right.
suggestions. But really where I'm trying to kind of get back into is really following what lights me up. What do
Hmm.
I enjoy doing? What is fun for me? And really trying to build my business as much from that place and that energy as possible rather than thinking that somebody else might have the answer or that I
Right.
just need to do more things or figure things out is really more kind of like really letting that energy and kind of let that guide me a little bit more.
Stay in tune with like what feeds you.
Yeah.
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 Because then and when you do that, as you're looking to scale, the things that drain you or frustrate you, those are the things that you need to then either outsource or hire for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get them off your plate,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
No, that's great. Okay, so if we met a year from now, what will we be celebrating?
If we met a year from now, well, we'd be celebrating because I mean, we'd still be celebrating. So you were saying this year you're writing a book. Last year I
You
wrote a
wrote a
book.
book.
Yes. I
Fantastic.
wrote a book, published it at the very end of December. So it's called
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
It's called The Binge Eating Breakthrough. My podcast is called Binge Eating Breakthrough. So
Okay.
very similar to my podcast. I also just finished a workbook, a companion workbook and audiobook for that. So I'd say we'd probably be celebrating that, um, just more impact, reaching more
Right.
people in the world. Yeah.
So last year was that's a big deal to get all that done
Yes.
in a year.
Yes. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So if you had to sum up your entrepreneurial journey in just one word, what would that word be?
I think it would be growth.
Growth.
when I really just look at the growth, my personal
Your
growth,
personal
my own
growth. Yeah.
internal growth, and then also the growth of my business, the growth
Mm.
of my clients, and really looking at it all as just a place of growth for me and for them. That's powerful growth.
Growth. And then if you had to look to the next chapter in your journey, what word describes that chapter?
It would be growth. It would still be growth, but it would be like, I'd probably add another word. It would be like
Mm.
growth through pruning.
Oh,
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. Growth through
grow
pruning.
through pruning.
Yeah.
Why pruning?
It's kind of like the theme that's coming to me this year. I have two themes really. I have a
Hmm.
personal theme and then more of like my business theme. So my personal
Okay.
theme, I'm turning 50 at the end of December. And so I'm celebrating my Jubilee year. So my
Okay.
word for the year is Jubilee. So really am really trying to focus on that energy, the energy
Mm.
of joy and jubilation and celebration, and really bringing that into all aspects of my life.
Right.
So that is kind of like my kind of North Star for the year. But for business, the thing that just keeps coming to me is slow down to speed up.
Mm.
And for me, I think that will mean kind of pruning some things where
Right.
I do kind of
But
get like,
finding the joy.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. My personal theme this year was ascend. It is
Mm,
time. Yeah, that was my word.
nice.
Um, I mean, you coach other people. What's the best advice, for our listeners out there with other founders and what advice do you want to give them?
I would say to just know you create your experience every day.
Mm,
It is
yeah.
not created by your balance sheet, your income statement, by what's happening in the world, by how many clients you have. That is not what creates your experience.
Right.
You create your experience every day. So decide every morning before you get out of bed, what do I want to create for myself today?
Mm,
How do I want to show up? Who do I want to be today? You literally get to decide.
right.
And
We
if you
all
don't
have
decide,
choices.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't decide intentionally, your brain that is designed to look for problems, to look for what's not
Mm,
working, to look for what's wrong, it will find all of those things. But if you put your mind to work on what you want for yourself, what you want to create, you will. Your brain is that powerful, but you have to
mm.
use it intentionally to create the results that you want.
That's really good advice. Like, might have to write a post about that one.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with us today. This was fun.
This
Where,
was
before we
fun.
go, where can people find more about information about you? How would they, buy your book, support you?
Yeah,
Where do you want them to go?
yeah, easiest place is my website. It's just my name, janepilger.com.
Very good.
Yeah.
And everything is there.
Yes, everything's there.
Perfect. Well, that's a wrap on today's chaos, but the journey doesn't stop here. If you found yourself nodding along or laughing or maybe even yelling, same, 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 make sure to subscribe, share, and leave us that 5-star review. You can dig deeper into founder resources, tools, and more episodes at orangewhip.com. And that's Orange Whip, WIP, for work in progress, because that's what we all are. Until next time, stay curious, stay scrappy, and remember, we're all a work in progress. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.